So this is the Public Relations Podcast. It's a podcast about what's going on the ground in PR and strategic comms today, where we talk to people actually doing it. We ask what's working, what's not working as well, what things are coming up that they've spotted during their campaigns. I'm Richard Midson. I'm a former news editor, journalist and public relations person. And today I am joined by the wonderful Amanda Proscia from Lightspeed PR, based in New Jersey in the USA. And Amanda and I are going to be recording a chat about getting work in PR today after this. So if you're interested in that, we'll have more details on that in a moment. But first of all, Amanda, a huge welcome to you. Well, welcome back again. Thanks so much for joining me. How are you doing?
Thank you. So great to be back. Always a pleasure to chat with you, Richard.
It's always a pleasure too. You must have been, I think it's about a year since we last caught up. So you must have had a lot going on.
It's been a busy year. Yes, as I'm sure it was for you as well.
Very much.
25, a lot of upheaval.
A lot of upheaval. Well, let's talk about campaigns, because this is where I really like to focus on in this show. I also like to ask people to pick a campaign that they've been working on as a kind of example of what's going on in PR today. So tell us a bit about this kind of campaign that you've been thinking about.
Yes, I thought of one that my team was working on just in the past few months, actually. It's for a client that's particularly B2B focused. They do business services, financial area, business tech. It's an unusual client for us. Most of our clients are strictly in the tech area, but this one's much more on the business side. So we often go back to the drawing board for them and rethink our strategy and our approach. And I'm very glad we did, because we had some peculiar success this year. Like I said, they're very B2B focused. We've worked with them for several years, and typically we'll offer them some different ideas. And they say, oh, well, that's casting too wide. And
right.
The people we only want people who are going to hire us, which is a very small number of people. So, just the trades, just the business verticals, just very specific types of publications. And we did quite well with them over the years. We would get between 20 and 30 placements a year. They were very happy. We would get their CEO quoted. We would get them in their trades. Terrific. This year we said, we hear you about B2B, but a lot of your trades aren't interested in thought leadership.
Yeah.
So we're missing a lot of opportunity to put your leadership, your subject matter experts out there. And we think there's a bigger way to do this if we go to more consumer publications. And they, no, we don't want that. That's,
it's not who we're trying to reach. Yeah.
Exactly. And we get it. We understand your hesitation, but if we get hundreds of millions of people, odds are
some of those people are going to be, yes, exactly.
It'll be appropriate.
People don't just read business publications.
Exactly. So they said, okay, give it a try. They happen to have a subject matter expert who knows a great deal about tariffs, which, as I'm sure you and your listeners are aware, we're in the news. Purely in the U.S., it was the topic.
Yeah. But that's a good hook, though, immediately. Yeah.
Not only around just what was happening in the news and the changes happening, but particularly around Black Friday in the U.S. when a lot of people did their Christmas shopping and holiday shopping in general. How were tariffs going to affect consumers? What was it going to do to the shopping season? And to everyone's surprise, we got a ton of traction. We were able to pitch this subject matter expert. He brought some different perspectives that nobody was hearing. And next thing you know, we're getting phone calls from the Associated Press, from NBC News, from major dailies, from major business publications, all wanting to talk to this wonderful guy. So instead of our typical 20 to 30 placements in a year, this year we got nearly 500 placements for them.
It's interesting. Just a point of, did you say that the business publications are less interested in thought leadership now? And this is why it was...
Not this particular vertical, their trade publications, yes. They have smaller staffs, fewer editors available. They can't do a lot of interviewing and a lot of vetting. They just want us to send them the news. Yes. This client will always have a lot of news. They're business consulting. When they do, it's great. They'll do reports, your data, that kind of thing. But not a lot of news. So without that leadership, they're tying our hands a bit. Yeah. So this was a way, shockingly, going to consumer press, we were able to get the thought leadership out there.
was your process of taking something which sounds like it's very niche and saying, look, we've got to expand it? I mean, it's great, that opportunity to get onto the sort of the tariff conversation, wasn't it? But it was, you still have to deliver. You can't just go, oh, tariffs, that's a great hook. You still got to deliver. So
Right.
how did you help them move from this sort of narrow focus to thinking in a consumer way and delivering it? Not just thinking it, but delivering it.
So we started to recognize that more and more business publications were writing about tariffs. So we just did the good old fashioned media monitoring and digging into the reporters who were covering this, reading what they were reporting, reading the coverage, and saying it looks like this is what they're interested in. These are the types of topics that are going to catch their attention. Going to our subject matter expert and tell us what you know about XYZ, help us to fill in the blanks on these particular areas. And then we were writing very crafted pitches to individual reporters saying, we know you've covered this. We've been reading it. We're fascinated. We have a guy who's going to take your reporting to the next level.
Yeah.
So that's ended up what cracked it open for us.
Yeah, because one of the problems also when you get a topic like that is that everyone's covering it in so much detail that you start running out of angles to run. I mean, I know this as an editor. You start going, okay, well, we've said the same things 100 times. What do we do now? So when someone comes up with a fresh little angle to it, you tend to jump on that.
Yes, and they did. And what was surprising to us is that even though we got some very large coverage at the beginning, we got some very big, heavy hitting outlets. After that, we weren't able to get a lot of attention from others. So we had to start really drilling down and saying, here's what your publication will
Yes.
be interested in. Here, with this particular reporter, of course, we referenced, hey, check out this article in the Associated Press. They liked it. Which of course helped. And then it was a slower build than we expected, but by continuing to go back to the well and offering something new and a different angle and something fresh, like you said, that ended up being the winning formula.
Yeah, that as you say, that's also a problem, isn't it? Is that when you've got a few publications, you've had the story, no one else wants to run what someone else has already run. Everyone wants a new, fresh. So how? Well, actually, yeah, I'm fascinated. Then again, so with something that is quite niche, how did you then break that into angles, or how did you look for those angles?
Fortunately, we have an excellent subject matter expert. This person, he is just such an expert on these
Right.
things, and he was also keeping up with the news and reading what was changing. And I'm sure the average I know I'm not an expert in tariffs, and I can't really keep up with what's happening and what it all is and the impacts of it and what it's going to do in this sector and that sector. He did. He knew everything. He was really able to speak with authority on what was going on, how to understand it, and what the impacts were going to be in different segments. So taking that information and packaging it up appropriately for each different outlet was what did it.
Sounds like it was enormously effective. I was just thinking, there's a danger with something like this when you've got an issue which is quite politicized, that that you can get dragged into that kind of thing. And obviously, with a business, well, I mean, unless the company is particularly sort of aligned on politically, you want to try and avoid that. So, how did you kind of prepare for that danger within interviews and within, journalists naturally are always looking to get something which will be a bit edgy, don't they? So, how did you kind of prepare to make sure that didn't happen?
Yeah, that's a very good point, and we made a specific point to work on that with this SME. Fortunately, he's really a data guy. He's just someone who knows the facts about something. I don't even know if he had an opinion on it politically. We were just
But that's
thinking about
perfect,
look,
yeah. The grey man, yeah.
that he was not going to go down a rabbit
Yeah.
hole with that, because then his job is to go to companies and say to them, this is how we prepare for what might be coming. Here's how, your team can know if this happens and if our supplier in this country is impacted, or if the part that's coming from this country is impacted, how that all is going to be managed and how we're going to see that and get out ahead of it. For him, it was really about business planning and the expertise of knowing what might come down the pike and really not caring too much about, the whys or how fors or who was behind it. It was getting my clients ready for what might come.
Yeah.
Which
So,
was
so you
great.
did some media training as well with them, but you actually had someone that was almost perfect for the situation already by the sound of it.
We did.
Yeah.
We very much did. Yes, exactly. And this is his job every day. It's just going to different companies and saying, let's make sure we're prepared for whatever may
Yeah.
come.
So what other sort of trends do you think you got out of this? Because one of the things I find fascinating is every time I talk to people, you hear about the way that comms and PR is changing and media is changing, and the way the public relates to things and business relates to things. I mean, do you feel that there was anything that you kind of saw from this campaign that's kind of changed from like when we last spoke, a year ago? Are you feeling things changing?
As much as they are changing, as they're staying the same. So, I mean, all the rules are still in place. But yes, this year, I would have to say, going into this year, I don't think most of my clients even knew what an influencer was. Now that's all they want.
Right.
Killer influencers. How do we do KOLs? And who would be the best spokesperson for us who, has a great Instagram following or is on LinkedIn? And that just became the number one thing they were all asking for this year, which surprised me because it just had not been anything a year ago. And now it is. But at the same time, they're all still asking for the same thing.
Yeah.
For example, right now we're in Las Vegas is the Consumer Electronics Show, CES. We have several clients there. Half my team is there. And so many of my clients who say, well, we want, at the end of the show, we want every reporter at the show to know who we are and be excited about us. Okay, that's just truly not possible. No.
With a show like that, yeah.
I mean, so I will do our very best,
Yes.
but the managing expectations of what we can accomplish still comes into the day to day.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's always incremental changes, and yet somehow or other, I'm having a lot of the same conversations year over year.
It's interesting with the influencer thing. I mean, it feels like business has become more aware of that. And also, I don't know, my experience is I think people tend to still think when they think of the word influencer, they think of someone doing makeup, a teenager doing makeup. And they keep forgetting the fact that an influencer is someone who can influence a market. Now, that could be an academic, a 60-year-old academic who's written a book that the rest of us would fall asleep even hearing the title of. And yet, if they're influential in their sphere, they are an influencer. Do you think that's right?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, almost 100% of the people we've hired to be our influencers are those very people who would bore the average person. We do a lot of healthcare tech work, and we work with doctors.
Yeah.
We work with clinicians and researchers. These people are very noted in their field, and the people they're talking to want to hear their opinions because they really know. And the vast majority of them, it's you basically have to have a special degree to understand what they're saying. But for the people we're trying to reach, they are ideal. So yes, you have to know who you're talking to and the best way to get to them.
How do you think those people who have become influencers or who are influencers now are becoming aware of their power, their market ability, their ability to charge more or to get more out of things? I mean, I feel that these people that were not natural influencers in the past are becoming a lot more savvy. Is that what you found?
I do find that, yes. And I've been surprised by that myself. But I think what's happening is people like my team are finding out about them, seeing their social media and seeing the number of followers they're getting. And we're calling them and saying, hey, we think you could be an influencer.
Right.
And then there's another term that we throw around a lot on my team, which is a micro influencer. Yes. Someone who is, a little smaller, a little more niche, a little less expensive. But
has a niche influence often. Yeah.
And just said to them, we think you have an opportunity here. We'd love to work with you. And then they're thrilled, for them, it's a whole opportunity.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's growing that way.
That's fascinating. I mean, we could do a whole other show about that. I think it's really interesting the way that these micro and it's nano influencers as well, isn't it? Where they've got a very small but a very loyal and powerful influence over that audience is the way it is. Listen, Amanda, we're out of time on this one. We are going to chat in just a second about getting jobs in PR, which I will give people more detail about in a moment. But just if people want to reach out to you, how do they do it?
Sure. My website is www.lightspeedpr.com. All of my information is there, but a direct email for me is amanda@lightspeedpr.com. I'm also on LinkedIn. And I always love to hear from people. Please reach out.
Wonderful. Of course, my name's Richard Midson. I'm on LinkedIn as well. You can find me under Richard Midson, Midson. So feel free to reach out to both of us. Right, Amanda and I are going to record that episode now on getting a job in PR. So if you would like to join us for that, if that is of interest to you as well, if you are hoping to become or you're just fairly early career wanting to get into this whole industry, we're going to be discussing it in a brand new sister show called Getting a Job in PR. Literally that. I called it as simple as that. So it was blinding the obvious. Gettingajobinpr.com is where you will find the website if you want to subscribe to that and listen to that as well. So I will talk to Amanda in a moment. Join us over there. If you're well into your career and you've been going for years, then hope to speak to you very soon.